Right, man. The Lions made a minor move. They traded a 6th-round draft pick for ex-Michigan Wolverine wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones, who did absolutely nothing in Cleveland. I think he do give you some kick return ability, and some punt return ability to go along with what you got already. I know Khalif return punts, but check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Only time I really remember in Detroit's franchise history they really went for anything at the trade deadline is when they traded for Rasheed Wallace. I was sad to see my boy Bobby Sura go. Bobby Sura was my boy. But that's the only time I really remember them doing anything at the trade deadline. I never remember the Lions doing nothing significant at the trade deadline, unless my memory's slipping. But like I said, the definition of the Lions, the Pistons be like, well, we going for it. We're going to make a big splash in free agency. And their definition, or the Detroit teams use the Pistons as an example, their definition of making a big splash is what? Going out there and getting Joe Harris and who else did they get? Going out and getting Joe Harris. I think that's what they end up doing. We're going to make a big splash going out there getting Nerlens Noel and Alec Burke and Bojan Bojanovic. That be their definition, dude. Their definition of big and major is totally different. Not from just the expectations of fans, but from the actual factual definition of it. But I understand it, though. Because y'all gonna make them deals and come up. Kirk Cousins got injured, so that's changing stuff. They traded for Joshua Dobbs. So you probably feel like, okay, we can win a division, get a home playoff game, maybe get a win. We ahead of schedule. We're not going to compromise our draft picks. But my thing is this. Is your first round pick next year going to be better than Patrick Surtain? Is your 2nd round pick? I don't know what it took to get Brian Burns, but Chase Young ended up going for a 2nd round pick to the 49ers. In the Benyard, they got Kevin Benyard, the all-pro safety in Philadelphia a couple weeks ago. Montez Sweat went to the Bears for a 2nd round pick. So, and the Bears got the most money next year. So my thing is this. They wasn't willing to trade assets to bring players in. And I think one of the reasons why they're ahead of schedule, right? It ain't that they like their players. They got multiple holes. But they wasn't willing to trade a 2nd and a 5th to get a guy like Leonard Williams, right? They feel like their window open. They got $60 million in cap and probably can create more money under the cap. They probably can get more money, with cutting some guys. So they figure we're going to have a bunch of cap next year. We'll have our draft picks next year. And we'll just go for next year. Even though, let's say, the 49ers don't recover, even though they got Chase Young for a 2nd and they stay, Purdy is figured out. And, something happened with the Eagles. And now, you can go get it. Now, how do you go get it? Yeah, you'll get James Houston back. If you're lucky, you'll get, Gardner Johnson back. But like I said before, it's a franchise that never goes for it. And the type of risk that Detroit Lions take, to narrow them out specifically because it's a Lions video, is they take risks on guys like Titus Young, who got a fucking head case. They take, excuse my language, they take risks on guys like Josh Pascal, who's a cancer survivor, for people who don't know, who was injured all through college. And guess what? He's a cancer survivor in college, by the way, too. He's injured in his whole career. You take a risk off Levon Azorki, a guy coming off a back injury that set out a year of college football and still ain't did jack for the Detroit Lions. Those are the type of risks that they take. Guys like Charles Rogers, when he had issues, being close to home. That would have been a rest in power to him. It would have benefited him to go somewhere else. You messed up your franchise and his. See, these are the type of risks they take with taking receivers 3 or 4 years, or 4 out of 5 years, or 4 years in a row. What was it? Charles Rogers, Rory Williams, Mike Williams, and was it Megatron or something like that? What else type of risks they take out here? Going to draft Ryan Broyles knowing that he had multiple ACL surgeries. Going to draft Amir Abdullah in the 2nd round knowing he don't have straight line speed. Drafting Jabba Best knowing he had neck and back issues and when he was at Cal. These are the type of freaking risks they take. These are the type of risks they take. It doesn't change. So guess what? If the ownership doesn't change, because it's not, the mama and the daddy to the mama to the daughter, in the presidents and the GM, it does change. What's the one constant variable? It's the ownership. They don't want to go for shit. I'm telling you that. You had an opportunity to go get Brian Burns, to go get Chase Young for a 3rd round pick. Even if you say, no, I'll give you a 3rd and a 6th or a 3rd and a 5th, people would have understood it. But also what went into that was you got to pay him. You know, he's been playing at a high level, but you got to pay him. So you guess what? You got to pay him. You know, what if we pay him and then he go back to acting like he was in Washington? You got to remember, Washington was his hometown. He probably don't want to, if you don't want to be in Maryland, close to where you from, fuck you want to be in Detroit for? Excuse my language. So you got to think about that. Montez Sweat, phenomenal guys. Another guy they had an opportunity to draft before Brad Holmes got here. I said they should have took. They didn't take him. I think they ended up taking Fred Ragnow. So I could be wrong, but they worked out. If that's the case, he went to Chicago for a 2nd round pick. You like, damn, they have a 2nd, but they're gonna pay him. They got a bunch of money. So, like I continue to say, Brad Holmes values. I think what Brad Holmes look at it as to defend him, the Lions are ahead of the curve. They got a bunch of money. You know, they're going to create more cap space. They're going to get rid of some of these old guys. You know, you're going to probably see Anazorki. He probably done. He need to fucking retire. He done. High Tide going to be gone. You probably going to get Charles Harris gone. Romeo Okoro gone. Julian Okoro probably going to be gone. A lot of these guys going to be gone, and they're going to turn over that roster. The bare minimum I would have did was went back and got DJ Shark. That made too much fucking sense. I'd at least went back, say, here goes 6, give me DJ Shark. Because one thing you know about DJ Shark, he knows the system, okay? He knows the system. He has a great rapport with Jared Goff. So as the transitional period is not going to be nothing. It's going to be a week or two. Right? You go get Donovan Peoples-Jones. We already seen him, and I'm going to say that for him. Wait, you're going to wait for that. So the way he looked at it was we ahead of schedule, right? We got time. We didn't think we'd be this far ahead. The division clear. We're going to get a home game division, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to keep the draft picks. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to stay on track. We got this money, so I ain't got to trade assets and to spend money, because if I trade for Brian Burns, I got to pay him in the offseason. I trade for Trey, Chase Young, or Montez, I got to pay them in the offseason, right? Eventually, I got to pay Patrick Surtain. So I'm going to keep these picks. I got a bunch of money. I'm going to count on the culture of Detroit, the Dan Campbell, you know, Biden kneecaps culture of Detroit, that players want to come to Detroit, and that I got to pay Goff. So that's what they just trust in the process. While teams like the 49ers and the Eagles, who window are probably much smaller, because guess what? They got a bunch of veteran players they got to pay. Detroit got a wide window. That's how they looking at it, but you never know what your window is. But when you trade assets for draft picks, and the reason Eagles are going to survive more, because yes, they traded draft picks for assets, but they made that big trade with the Saints, and they got a bunch of draft picks they wouldn't necessarily have. So they got a very young team. So the Eagles is in a better position than the 49ers. 49ers got a bunch of people got to pay. They just paid Joey Bosa, Brock Purdy got to get paid, etc. So the Eagles in a great position, right? The Lions say, you know what? We're a young football team. We're going to keep building this depth. We're going to keep grooming these young players. We're going to keep grooming them. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to trust the process. We're going to take this pick and this money. We're going to build from that. And that's what they're going to do. In my opinion, before I speak on Donovan Peoples-Jones, bare minimum, what I would have done, easily, I would have went to go get DJ Shark if he was available. He know the system, all that. That's what I would have done. With Donovan Peoples-Jones, he ain't shit. Ain't nothing to really talk about. He gave you some kick return ability, but he wasn't nothing at Michigan. A bunch of potential that never was going to reach his potential. It's a classic Lion move. It's a classic Detroit sports move. He ain't going to bring nothing of value. He might make a play or two here. You know, people say, well, they couldn't give him the ball in Cleveland. They couldn't get the ball nowhere. Ain't like going to get Nico Collins and how he balling in Houston. He ain't that. So he was all hype when he was at Michigan. He like Jabril Peppers. All these guys they was getting that was all hype that never really, materialized into anything, bro. He just hype. He a big receiver. I don't know, man. I don't really know. It is what it is, bro. So I'm really like, Red Wing me. The Lions not going nowhere. They'll make the playoffs by default because the division is weak. They might struggle to do that shit, to be honest. They'll get a home playoff game. If you really, really lucky, they'll win a home playoff game. But at the end of the day, they're going to let you down. They're going to have a lot of hype going into the offseason. They're going to become the 100, and they probably going to flop next offseason. The shit going to go down the rails. Just my prediction. But people say, oh, you always negative. It's just my prediction. I know how these things go, but I understand what he's doing. He trusts in the process, and then come draft time, y'all would have spent those picks. Oh, we ain't got no picks. Ain't nothing to talk about. Oh, my God. He gave Chase Young, and he walked and went to L.A. anyway and went to San Francisco. Yeah, man. So I get what he's doing. He trusts in the process. He not trying to cheat the process. He letting it marinate, and they going to build this thing the right way. So I kind of agree with it. I'm not going to get emotional about it, but I agree with it. But I see a clear path to go for it. But I think they, and to his defense, and I've been defending him the whole video, I gave my biased fan commentary, but to his defense, they wasn't one player away. They were multiple players away from doing it. So at the end of the day, you take that $60+ million you had next year, you take them draft picks, you develop the guys you got, fill those holes next year, and see y'all next year. If y'all thought the Lions was winning the Super Bowl, we all knew they wasn't. So it is what it is. For them to kind of really go out there and do it, I think they would have had to get a Brian Burns, and they would have had to go out there and get a Patrick Surtain and shore that up. But check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to get notifications. We go live or drop video. Financially, want to support the channel? Cash App, $ CJ Good 313, Venmo CJ Good 313, PayPal link in the description. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. Appreciate the love and support. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Other than that, everything's in the link tree. Follow me everywhere. Peace.